Let's just jump right in. If you're gearing up for a Java backend interview, you already know it can be, well, incredibly overwhelming. You sit down to prep, and suddenly you're hit with way too many topics, too many resources, and you just kind of don't know where to start, right? Well, today, we're leveraging an excellent guide of top Spring Boot interview questions to cut right through that noise. In this explainer, we're going to tackle the high-yield, fundamental concepts that interviewers absolutely love to ask about. By the end of this, you'll have crystal clear, structured answers ready to go. So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the Spring Boot advantage, move into convention over configuration, then hit starter dependencies explained, look inside auto configuration, and finally, decoding at Spring Boot application. Okay, section 1, the Spring Boot advantage. Let's dive into this. Every great interview answer starts by framing the problem and the solution. And here is a classic foundational prompt you are almost certainly going to get. What is the exact difference between Spring and Spring Boot? To nail this, you really need to frame traditional Spring as the historical pain point. Spring Framework itself, it's an incredibly powerful tool, but historically it required an immense amount of manual setup. We're talking heavy, seemingly endless XML configurations, literally the kind of stuff that gives developers nightmares. Manually setting up servers, and painstakingly managing all those library dependencies. Just so much friction before you could write a single line of business logic.
The source guide uses a pretty great analogy here. Think of traditional Spring as giving you all the raw tools you need to build an app. Spring Boot, though, it gives you the complete ready-to-use toolkit with the defaults already set up. So where traditional Spring needs that heavy XML, Spring Boot brings in auto configuration. Where Spring makes you install and configure Tomcat or Jetty yourself, Spring Boot just embeds them right in. And instead of complex dependency management, you get ready-to-use starters. It basically just deletes the setup phase, so you can actually start building immediately.
Moving on to section 2, convention over configuration. Now, knowing what Spring Boot does is really only half the battle. Interviewers want to see that you understand the why and the how. So the crucial point to grasp is this core philosophy: convention over configuration. Look, older frameworks basically assumed you wanted to configure every single tiny detail yourself. Spring Boot flips that script. It assumes most developers are building similar types of apps, right? So instead of forcing you to write miles of manual config files, it just provides sensible default settings based on common use cases. To really hammer this home, let's look at a quote straight from our source. Instead of asking you to write long configuration files, it provides default settings based on common use cases. So what does that actually mean for you? It means if you just follow standard project structures and naming conventions, Spring Boot automatically wires things up for you. Put a controller class in the right package, bam, Spring Boot scans and registers it, no manual mapping required. You can absolutely still customize things if you need to, but mostly the defaults are exactly what you want. Let's move to section 3 and see how this builds. Starter dependencies explained. So how does this complete toolkit idea actually look in practice? When they ask you how Spring Boot handles dependencies, here's your authoritative answer. Starter dependencies are predefined sets of libraries bundled together for common tasks. Back in the day with traditional Spring, building a web app meant figuring out exactly which version of Spring MVC played nice with your JSON parser and your server. It was honestly a version conflict nightmare. Starters eliminate that completely. Spring Boot uses a parent POM to manage all the compatible versions, so you never ever have to play version roulette again. And this brilliantly illustrates the power of a starter. Take a look at Spring Boot Starter Web. By dropping this single line into your project, you're not just getting one library. You're getting the whole shebang for a REST API. You get Spring MVC for routing, you get Jackson, which just automatically handles converting your data to JSON, you get an embedded Tomcat server, so no separate installation required, plus a default logging setup with logback. It's a massive time saver. Next up, section 4, inside auto configuration. All right, we are at the absolute core of this Spring Boot interview right here. Let's demystify the magic. If you are asked to explain auto configuration, this is what you say. Auto configuration automatically configures your application based on the libraries present on your class path. It's basically Spring Boot looking at your workbench and saying, oh hey, I see you brought a database driver and a web starter. Let me just set those up for you. But they're going to push you further. A good interviewer will ask, okay, but how does it work behind the scenes? Here's the secret sauce: at conditional annotations. When your app boots up, it checks exactly what classes or beans are sitting on the class path. If it spots specific libraries and notices you haven't manually configured them yourself, it applies its defaults.
So if it sees Spring Boot starter data JPA and an H2 database on the class path, it automatically spins up a data source and JPA beans. No config code required from you. It conditionally creates beans only when those exact criteria are met. Finally, Section 5, Decoding at Spring Boot Application. Okay, we've hit the philosophy, the dependencies, and the autoconfig. Now let's look at the very top of a Spring Boot project. Every single app starts with one main class. Annotate it with @SpringBootApplication. But what actually is it? Think of it as a macro shortcut, kind of like a Russian nesting doll of annotations. It bootstraps the app and sets everything up. If you can break this single annotation down into its 3 hidden parts during an interview, it's a huge flex that proves you really know your stuff.
So, what's inside the nesting doll? First, it includes @configuration, which just marks your class as a source of bean definitions. Second, and this is the big one based on what we just covered, it includes @enable auto configuration. That's the actual trigger. That's what tells Spring Boot to look at the class path and do all that automatic setup magic we just talked about. And third, @component scan. This tells Spring to scan your package and subpackages to find your components, like your controllers and services. So, using @SpringBootApplication is literally firing off all 3 of these massive directives at the exact same time.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought from the guide. Just how much boilerplate code, XML, and manual server configuration have you avoided writing thanks to these features? It's kind of wild to think about. Spring Boot didn't just add new shiny things. It actively removed the tedious, repetitive garbage that used to slow developers down. When you understand convention over configuration, starters, and auto-configuration, you aren't just reciting definitions. You actually understand the logic of the framework. Bring that mindset, and you are absolutely going to ace that back-end interview. Thanks for exploring this with me, and hey, good luck.